Good afternoon and welcome to Election Brief. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125 on all our social media platforms and around the world at myjoyonline.com. Election Headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity, and the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, CIMA, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, and also by Chopbox Technologies, a convenient service, and Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging the gap for positive youth development. My name is Faustina Safo. Please stay with us for details. Thanks for choosing us for your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. We start with the NDC flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, because he says the party has not taken a definite decision on whether it will sign a peace pact ahead of the December election. Responding to a question during a media interaction about comments made by the NDC National Chairman, Johnson Esidu Nketia, that signing a peace declaration doesn't mean anything to the party, as previous pacts have not yielded any results. He said he understands where the party chairman is coming from, because peace pacts go beyond mere signing.
I read the statement made by our chairman this morning, and even though it is not a decision that we have sat and taken, I can understand the position he's coming from. He's talking about justice and saying that we should not glorify just signing a peace pact without acting to make sure that peace exists. Because when we sign a peace pact and people gun down 8 of our compatriots and nobody cares, no investigation is taken, no compensation is paid, then what was the use of signing the peace pact? And so I can understand where he's coming from. But of course, we haven't sat and taken a definite decision on that. But I do think that those who normally clamor about signing peace pacts, getting us to go to Movenpick Hotel, serve small chops and drinks, and then we think that just by signing that paper, everything is going to be okay. He's telling them that everything will not be okay unless we go further than just the signature on the peace pact. So I think that's the message he's sending.
He says that a future NDC government will not honor the transfer of the Komenda Sugar Factory if any underhand dealings are discovered, stating that he is yet to see any transparent process. The government plans to lease Komenda Sugar Factory Development Company Limited to an Indian-based firm, West African Agro Limited, for a renewable term of 15 to 20 years. The sector minister, K.T. Hammond, says it is to revive the company's operations to meet domestic demand.
I've read about the hurry to lease out the Komenda Sugar Factory to an investor. You see, the thing about this government is they're not transparent in anything they do. And I warn the investor, I hope it's gone through a transparent procurement process. And so, buyer beware. Whoever that investor is, he should be very careful, because if the process has not been transparent, we are not willing to abide by any transfer of that facility. We must open it up and get the best investor to come and partner with government to run that sugar factory. So whoever it is, I'm just sending a note of caution to him. I haven't seen any transparent process in trying to lease out that sugar factory. And if we come and it was not transparent and it was some, under the table transfer of a national asset, we will not be very cooperative in that regard. And so that is a warning.
My colleague Maxwell Owusu was at that media engagement in the Volta region. He joins us live with more. Maxwell, today marks the last day of John Mahama's tour of the Volta region. Now, during his media engagement, he accused government of hounding journalists and assured that if elected, media freedom would be upheld. Tell us more about that.
says, as a member of the Ghana Journalists Association, it is committed to upholding the freedoms and protection of the journalists. And first, if the NDC is elected, outcome December, the party will uphold the freedoms and protection of journalists.
Now let's talk about other things that came up during the media engagement. He talked about the Keita port. He said the NDC will demand a feasibility study. Tell us more.
Yes, he said, although we've not really seen any specific, wet down of the Keita port, the Keita port, what we've seen so far are just that's the fact that it looks the case that people have been employed for that job. We have vehicles that is moving around with another logistical support, which he says is not the way to go. He says that if a future NDC government is elected come December, they will call for a feasibility study of the Keita port. He says that is what all projects are supposed to do. He says it's one of the things, one of the requirements of all projects. Before you start a project, to ensure that the feasibility study is done. He says he does not think any feasibility studies was done on the Keita port, and that when the NDC is elected into power, one of the first things they will call for is a feasibility study on the Keita port. That was done for works at that point that project.
Well, we can now listen to John Dramani Mahama make that point.
This Keita port has been used as a red herring by this government for a long time. At one point, they said a feasibility study. They came and brought some white people to walk around there and all that. They brought some things measured. I can assure you that they have absolutely no intention of delivering a Keita port. They wanted to do like they did with the Buankra Inland Port. And my understanding is that they were going to take some money from Gapoha to come and build the administration block. You don't have warehouse. You don't have breakwater to allow ships to come in. And your first priority is to build administration block. The same way they built Buankra administration block how many years ago? Eventually that building has deteriorated so badly, it's no longer fit for purpose. The first thing is, let's see the feasibility study. Every project starts with a feasibility study. And so if you say you've done the feasibility study, let us all look at it and see what is in the feasibility study. That is the first step. And then once we take that first step, then we go to the next step. But this government has turned the whole thing on its head. They have a port director, they have land cruisers, they've employed staff, they are paying them when you have only 2 containers standing on the land and a signboard. And so we would reprioritize it. One, I want to become president, and one of the first things I'll ask for is, show me the feasibility study for the Keita port. And when we have seen the feasibility study, we would let you see it yourselves. And then based on that, we can take it from there. If there must be a port, there must be a specialized port for something. Because you have Tema, you have Lomé. And so if you're having an intermediate port, is it going to handle the same cargoes that Lomé and Tema are handling? So those are all things that we need to look at. And when we have looked at it, then we can determine how we move forward. And so they should stop playing politics with it. Let us see the feasibility study. Let us see the design of the port. And when we have seen that, we can move forward.
Away from the NDC, the governing New Patriotic Party is accusing the opposition NDC of beating the war drums ahead of the 2024 general election because it knows it will lose. National Chairman of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, announced the NDC will not sign any peace declaration ahead of the 2024 election because past declarations have not done anything to foster peace. The NPP says it interprets this to mean the NDC is not committed to peace. Member of our political Dex Quaanti joins me with more details of this strongly worded statement signed by the NPP General Secretary Justin Frimpong Kodua. Kweku, thank you for your time here on Election Brief. What is the basis for the NPP's accusation that the NDC is waging war?
Well, that exclusive interview that Johnson Esedin Ketia granted advancements on PM Express has set tongues wagging over the past few days when Johnson Esedin Ketia was categorical that given the way the process has been streamlined, the NDC is not interested in signing this peace pact, unless, of course, the underlying circumstances that usually lead to violence are dealt with. And the NPP is taking on this strongly. It says the NPP finds the comment by the NDC chairman very unfortunate and condemns it in no uncertain terms, given the worrying and incendiary nature of the statement. We have noted with concern the leadership of the NDC has gained notoriety for, quote, consistently beating the drums of war and preparing the minds of their supporters to reject the outcome of the 2024 general elections, foreseeing their inevitable loss. That is Justin Frimpong Kodia signing this 3-page statement to the general public.
I know that they also make an appeal to the NDC to reconsider their decision. Tell us more about that.
Well, yes, according to Justin Frimpong Kodia, despite their grave differences with the NDC, they want both political parties to commit to a peace process ahead of the 2024 election. I go back to the statement. It says the NDC wishes to make a passionate appeal to the NDC to reconsider their posture by reason of the national interest and desist from making statements likely to fuel tensions in the political atmosphere. We wish to reiterate our firm assurance to Ghanaians that the NDC remains committed in words and in deeds to maintaining the peace and stability of this country before, during, and after the 2024 election, and will accept the outcome in good faith. So that is the NPP. But of course, the Peace Council now wading into the conversation, saying that they are going to have a conversation with the NDC and ensure that this decision is rescinded.
When issues come up, we try every means possible to be able to engage those who are involved. We don't think that it only and always has to be what somebody might wish. So if we feel that a public addressing of the issue is the most useful at the time, we will. If we feel that other means might be more effective, we shall employ that as well. But it doesn't mean that because something hasn't been heard publicly that the bishops are silent. So we don't have any interest in being quiet over it. In fact, we engage it as actively as we can.
Well, the Peace Council there saying they will work to ensure the concerns of the NDC will be addressed. Let's do some other stories now. The Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame says the new Patriotic Party is confident of breaking the 8 in the December election because they have a clear message, unlike the NDC. Speaking to the media in Sunyani after a meeting with top party executives in the Bono region, Mr. Dame believes Ghanaians would trust the Dr. Bawumia-led government for development, having tasted both political parties' administration before. Precious Semewo has more in this report.
The Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame's behind closed-door engagement in Sunyani had his deputy Alfred Yeboah, the Bono Regional Minister, Regional Executives, Constituency Chairman, and Parliamentary candidate in the Bono region in attendance. The meeting, according to the AG, is to galvanize as much support as possible and whip party leaders in the region into action with door-to-door and street-to-street campaigns to ensure they spread the MPP's message ahead of the general elections. Mr. Dame, who donated motorbikes and T-shirts to aid the party's work in Sunyani, says the MPP is confident of victory based on their clear-cut messages for Ghanaians.
Yeah, I'm very confident because our messages are quite clear, and the message of the NDC clearly cannot be seen. Even their main message of 24-hour economy, they cannot even explain it themselves. And we are confident that the good people of Ghana, having tasted both administrations and all, will see that clearly it is better they repose their trust and confidence in the MPP led by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So I'm very confident that yes, it is possible and indeed we'll achieve it when we did.
He, however, called for unity among members and urged them to be bold in selling the good works of the government to Ghanaians.
The first is for them to be united. They must put behind all the challenges and divisions that occurred in the selection of a candidate for each constituency. And indeed, as I said, I'm happy to know that indeed there's unity in the party now. now. So unity is very key. The second one is also for us to be bold, and bold in terms of propagating all the achievements that we have chalked over the past 8 years, and then also preaching all the message that we have for the good people of Ghana. And indeed, I'm also happy to note that the party will be going around to exhibit the work that we have done in all the regions. And so at that point, each executive, each member must be bold enough to tell the NDC and all the citizenry, the entire citizenry, what we have done. And I think that will be very key so that the people of Ghana can vote wisely.
Precious Semevo, Joy News, Sunyai.
You're watching Election Brief. We'll be back with more stories after this. Please stay tuned in. Thanks for staying with us. Now, members of the Youth Caucus for Alan Tremanting in the Bunu region have declared their total support for the new Patriotic Party's flag bearer, Dr. Mahama, in a December election at a press conference in Sunyani led by Dex Quaanti. The group, aside from appealing to all aggrieved members to join them in campaigning for the victory of Dr. Mahama and the parliamentary candidates, called on the national executives to take immediate steps to resolve concerns of aggrieved members to ensure a formidable front ahead of the elections.
This afternoon, we have just one main purpose: to call upon our people around the region, both Alan supporters and Canadian Japan supporters, and even party faithfuls, who due to one or two reasons are peeved and are in the house not campaigning to support our flag bearer and his vice. We are calling on each and every person to come out and campaign massively to support Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and all our parliamentary candidates across the region. Per all indications, after the 7th December elections, MPP with our flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is going to be the president of Ghana 2025. We are then calling on all supporters of MPP to come on board for us to push our campaign forward to win the 7th December elections. We are, with this medium, pleading to the national headquarters, the regional, the constituency, to make sure that all aggrieved members are brought on board, and also thanking the national headquarters for instituting a committee going around the country talking to people who are peeved to come on board to support our flag bearer. We say, with one strength, with one vision, we can make it happen, and it is possible to make Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia the president of Ghana coming 7th December and being sworn on the 7th January 2025 as the next president of the Republic of Ghana.
United Nations representative in Ghana, Charles Abani, has urged the Ghanaian youth to reject politicians who attempt to recruit and use them for violent activities in the upcoming December elections. He also challenged the political class to deliberately include the youth in solving the problems of the country. Charles Abani said this at the International Youth Day held at Pentecost Convention Center in the Central Region.
Opportunity to establish inclusive global problem-solving mechanisms. We urge leaders to elevate youth participation, create consultative bodies that will amplify the voice of young people. And let me again commend Ghana through NDC and its consultative processes for ensuring the diversity of voices that will be represented from Ghana at the summit of the future. Many speakers before have commended and commented on the elections that are coming. So I would just offer 2 practical tips of advice to young people. First, resist the urge to share misinformation, disinformation, false information, and potential hate speech. Just resist it. If you cannot verify something, just don't share it. Secondly, reject anyone who comes to you to recruit you into an act that could lead to violence in your community or in Ghana. And thirdly, encourage everyone, particularly your families, to abide by the peace. Peace is one of Ghana's crown jewels. You, the youth, will be the biggest beneficiary of peace. And so I call you young people out there to raise your hands and say, I pledge for peace.
Well, that's it for Election Brief. Remember, it is brought to you by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity, and the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, CIMA, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, and also Chopbox Technologies, a convenience service, and Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging the gap for positive youth development. My name is Faustina Savo. Have a pleasant weekend as you enjoy the rest of our programs.